What's up, world? I'm your host, Juming Delmas, and welcome back to the I'm Just Here to Listen podcast. And here with me today is Dr. Charles Magee. Our guest today is our renowned inventor and senior member of the National Academy of Inventors. And we would love to welcome him onto the show today. Today, we're going to be talking about agricultural farming and what was once a forced entry industry eventually became a high revenue generator for most Black families. But now the work of farming and the agriculture has quickly declined. So today we're going to be discussing why that is, and should we go back to our natural way of living, and what would that even look like? So hang tight, relax, and let's dive in. Alrighty, here we are. Welcome, Dr. Magee. How are you?
Thank you, Juming.
It's all right.
For now. I'm doing well.
Good,
yeah,
good stuff. So, do you want me to call you Doctor, or how you want me to address you on this?
Charles Magee.
Charles Magee. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
because sometimes
Dr. Magee is fine and stuff.
Okay,
that might give more credibility to the audience.
Right. Sometimes I might slip up. Just correct me.
I won't correct you, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, okay, all right. Cool.
I know it means a lot more to the community that you're catering, because they don't even know if this is the first time ever seeing someone like me with a doctorate degree in this type of engineering.
Right.
So it might be more appropriate to do that for your audience.
Okay, for sure. Do you know how to say my name?
No, give me your.
Come on now.
Because we'll correct you on this show.
Oh, I thought is it Juming?
Yeah, there it is. All right. Okay. Yeah, that's it. See that? Look, everybody, we all just learning each other today.
Yeah.
So yeah, Juming. So welcome to the show, and thank you so much a little bit joining the show today. So you were a professor at FAMU.
Yeah, I just retired from Florida A&M University. I prefer saying Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University.
So that's what I should say?
Yes, in my opinion.
Florida Agriculture.
Since we're talking about agriculture.
Okay, so Florida.
Why that's so significant.
Okay, so Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. And if I don't remember that, I'm gonna remember that.
Well, you can just say FAMU.
Yeah.
But I want the audience to know why that agricultural and mechanical is in the name, and it's related to what we were just talking about.
Right.
I can kind of repeat the history of the land grant system.
Okay.
That is significant.
Okay. So what kind of professor were you at FAMU?
I taught in the program for biological systems engineering.
What's that mean?
And you said, what is that?
Yeah.
Okay. That is engineering applied to the food and agriculture industries, basically, and academia as well. It's not a well-known field, but it's a significant field.
Right.
The way I kind of like to get folks to recognize what we are talking about, when you go in the supermarket and you see all of these 50,000 different products in the supermarket, how did they get there? Most of them, they came from basic commodities.
Yeah.
When I say basic commodities, what we're talking about, corn, soybean, rice, peanuts, all of these are agricultural commodities. In that store, you probably got 4,000 different products that are derived from corn. If I pick up a bar of candy, if I pick up a soda, it's going to say corn syrup is a sweetener. And you don't think of it that way.
True.
The whole alcohol industry is based on, well, not the whole, but basically majority of it is corn.
True. Yeah, that's fact.
Okay, and what does it take to cause fermentation? Bacteria. Fermentation in the alcohol industry, they have to turn their starch into sugar.
Wait, hold on. Let's back up. So, are you saying we eating bacteria?
Yeah,
necessarily.
When you go and buy a packet of yeast, yeast is not a bacteria. It It's not a bacteria. Yeast is a live organism. Don't you need that yeast to make the bread rise and stuff?
So I'm assuming when we cook it, it kills the bacteria, right?
Oh, yes, it does. It does and stuff. So we're kind of digressing in a lot of ways and stuff. If you go in there and buy a jar of pickles, any kind of dill pickles or whatever pickles it may be, I won't say dill because that may be a brand name, a jar of pickles, you open that big jar of pickles, you can leave them on that countertop for 6 months and you come back you don't have to refrigerate them.
Right.
And you come back and you can still take a fork or whatever and get that pickle out of that, and you can still eat it, and it's still good. And it's no mold, fungus, or anything on there.
Right.
You know why? Because that is a saline solution. As long as those pickles are below that liquid, fungus and bacteria won't grow on it.
So,
I'm just giving you an example of why I'm called a biological engineer.
That makes sense, though. Yeah, because it's the bio's behind.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, why you think we put salt on, like, you may not eat pork or whatever, but any kind of
like black
meat. I know black people, I say you may not.
Okay.
I'm just saying personally. But we've been putting salt on meat, I don't know, for the last 4,000 or 5,000 years. And the reason for that, when we speak of being a biological engineer, which that's what I am and stuff, if you put the salt, you could pick a salt pork and put it on the countertop, and you don't have to refrigerate it. You come back there 6 months later, and it will still be good if you got enough salt. Because the bacteria, what happened is, when the bacteria try to colonize, because of osmosis, osmosis is where you pour water out of the cell, and so the bacteria, they got water. It's a cell. They got cells, and they got water in it, so that salt is going to pull the water out of the bacteria, and the bacteria will die before they can colonize.
You know, listening to this, I feel like I'm a student in class right now. I didn't go to FAMU. I went to Florida. I didn't go to Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. I went to
you
Florida.
You can say FAMU now, as long as you explain what.
Just piggyback a little bit, as a professor, what were some of did you have any difficult students teaching your
difficult
course?
In what way?
That I know it's subjective, so just difficult where students just didn't too much care to learn about agriculture, or just
the answer is yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yes,
how do you deal with students who don't too much care for the bioengineering, mechanical side of farming?
So you have to assume most of the students that I got, they chose it as a major.
Right.
So I made the assumption that they would like to be there.
And sometimes people's majors change, right?
Oh, they tell a whole bunch of them in engineering. In any engineering field, you're going to lose 40% of the students.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you do about that?
When it's biological engineering, it used to be called biological and agricultural. We dropped the agriculture part. The program at FAMU, the student used to use the acronym BASE, BASE, Biological and Agricultural Systems Engineering. Because these things are systems, they work together. Because that's why you have to know the calculus and the physics and the engineering concepts, because you have to put these systems together to make to make it work and stuff. But anyway, yes, well, just as in other major, most students, they might be in the major, they don't necessarily want to do the work and live up to their potential.
Right.
So you have to deal with those as well.
Right. So let's play a scenario. So I'm one of those students. I'm in the classroom. And I'm in the classroom. I'm eating. Do you allow eating in your classroom?
No, I do not.
But it's an agricultural class. It's a food
It doesn't
class.
matter what is agriculture. In my classroom, there's no eating in the classroom. You should eat your breakfast at lunch or whatever before you come to class. You don't come to my class to eat.
Even though it's a class on food.
It's not necessarily a class on food. This is an engineering. Yeah, this is not. See, that's the thing about in agriculture. You got many different majors. I don't teach about how to make a cake. Okay. Now I might tell you about how you can mix these ingredients, the sugar and the flour and all of that together, and what proportion it should be in order to these ingredients won't separate out. That's an engineering thing, okay? How you determine what the moisture content should be, okay? That's what I teach and stuff. Not necessarily, what ingredients it takes to make a cake. Even though I know you need flour and butter and all of that, but after you mix these ingredients, what is the moisture content? The shells, that cake mix in the store, okay? What should be the moisture content to keep these ingredients from separating out? You don't want the flour to separate out from the sugar or the eggs or whatever else might be in.
You sound like you can cook.
Well, I know something about cooking, but I'm just telling you, but I look at it from an engineering. In other words, I'm the type of engineer that how you turn the wheat into flour. That's what a biological engineer does. Wheat is a biological product. Corn is biological. Soybeans, okay? When you buy corn, you can get the meal, you can get corn starch. That's bioprocessing and food engineering. How do you process? How you grind it? What environment it should be in? How much power does it take to do that? You got the process up from the time you harvest the ears of corn in the field. We got to remove the kernels from the cob, and then you got to grind it up. You got to store it. See, the cornflakes you eat today, the corn could have been harvested 2 years ago. So I'm the engineer that said, what kind of environment can we store this corn in and make it keep for 2 years or 3 years?
So I have a question. So a lot of people have the idea that engineering has a lot to do with technology, coding, software, things of that nature.
That's one type of engineering.
Right, one type. So I think when most people think engineering, that's kind of like the field that they go in. What's the difference?
That may be the modern day field that they go in now, but go ahead.
Right. What's the difference between bioengineering and environmental engineering?
Okay. Bioengineering, which is a biology-based type engineering. Right. We look at things at the molecular level, the amount of the bacteria that's going to be involved that make a lot of these processes take place and stuff. If you, again, using in the liquor industry, if you're making wine or if you're making beer, if the fermentation process with bacteria, they generate, if it get too hot in there, and if you kill all the bacteria, you no longer got fermentation. Now, environmental engineering, okay, when you say environmental engineering, that's a very broad field. Our components, when they say the biological systems, we call it natural resource conservation engineering, which is just another name for some aspect of environmental engineering. Okay, think about it. All of these basic commodities that we grow, corn, wheat, soybean, rice, peanut, don't we use herbicides on some of it? Your cotton and all of that stuff. You got these chemicals. You don't want them to get in what? In your groundwater, your surface water. You don't want it to get into, because once we the farmers spray these chemicals on these agricultural commodities, crops, when they're growing them and stuff, the crops gonna not just instantly suck up all of them. So a lot of those herbicides and certain fertilizers, you get runoff. You don't want the runoff to contaminate the aquifer. If you're irrigating, you don't want these chemicals to get down in the groundwater. You don't want the chemical to get in your natural lakes or river, creeks and streams and so forth. That's the kind of environment. That's what we call natural resource conservation. And we call it the resources we're trying to conserve. We're trying to conserve water. We're trying to conserve naturally. We got to conserve air. Okay, the soil. But
that's all a part of the environment, though.
That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah,
use
it's all
different
tied
names.
Gotcha.
It's
Okay.
just- yeah.
It's just all tied together.
It's all tied together.
So each component needs each other.
Well, see, you have to understand how universities are structured. In the Joint College of Engineering, okay, they call it what? Let's say environmental engineering.
Environmental engineering, yeah.
Over at FAMU, the program that I'm teaching in, I used to teach in, we call it natural resources conservation engineering, meaning that we're trying to conserve the soil. We want to conserve water. There's no new water. Okay, we want to conserve. We want to keep the air clean. So we're just two different types of engineering. Okay, the civil engineers, they may be concerned about this local carpet factory making carpet or whatever and putting dye and stuff in it. So you don't want, that is what we call a point source of pollution. We deal in agricultural engineering, biological engineering, we deal with non-point sources. When I say non-point sources, what I'm talking about, if you got a dairy farmer in your community and they got 5,000 heads of dairy cows, what are you going to do with all that waste they generate? You can't spray it on the land. You can't pump all that manure into the river. They will allow you to put a certain amount on the land.
What do they do with it? What do they do with it?
You got to clean it up, process it. A lot of times, lagoons and stuff like Holden Pond, okay, then you can separate out the solids from the liquids and stuff like that. So these dairy farmers, when they wash down, it doesn't go directly to a river or a stream or whatever. They put them in holding ponds on their location. And then you can separate the liquid from the solid. And then you can irrigate with some of it, and you can spray it and get them back. It's similar to compost. Manure is a fertilizer, which most folks don't know that and stuff. I mean, back in the 1800s, even when Morrill passed the first Morrill Act, fertilizers are what? Made from what?
It's
petroleum.
It's shit, right?
No.
It's fertilizer. Well, no, manure. Cow's manure.
The actual chemical fertilizers, when you go down there and buy from your co-op or the place that sell fertilizers,
Home Depot,
nitrogen, phosphorus, and all of that, these things are made from crude oil.
And it smells bad.
No, it doesn't smell bad and stuff. See, we kind of digress. You have to understand the system. If you are non-farmer or even a farmer and stuff, and if you go down to the local co-op is where farmers group together. If you go down there where they sell the fertilizers for agricultural uses and stuff, and you say, I'm going to buy me 10 tons of nitrogen fertilizer, what you tell a person want. Number one is that person he's not going to sell you 10 tons. In the first place, he knows that if you don't have a farmer number, an ID farmer, something to indicate that you're a farmer, that you're actually growing corn and wheat and soybean. If you go down and try to buy 1 ton, I'll just use the nitrogen as an example. If you go down and buy 1 ton, you'll walk in the place and say, I want 1 ton of nitrogen fertilizer. First, they're going to ask you, are you a farmer? What's your farm number? Where you farming and stuff. And if you can't produce all that information, probably the next day or the next 2 days, the FBI is going to be knocking on your door.
Wait, why?
Because nitrogen fertilizer, if you mix it with like diesel, you too young to remember the Oklahoma bombing, that federal building in the 1990s.
Yeah, I heard about it.
That was like I won't say what kind of truck it was. It was loaded with nitrogen. It's a bomb, okay? It was when you mix it with diesel and stuff. You don't know this, but the person that's selling it, and that's what blew up that building and stuff.
So the fertilizer could be used as a weapon.
Yes.
And if you don't got a farming number, which is like I guess your social security for farming, or a business tax ID for farming,
it's an ID for farmers. You have to have a farmer.
You have to have a farmer's number.
You have to have a number.
So the number is what identifies you as a farmer.
Yeah.
So what if I just want to farm in my own backyard? Would I need a farmer's number?
Oh, see, if you just going on to I hate to call the name of Home Depot or whatever, or Lowe's or whatever, and you buy, in the gardening area, you can buy 50 pounds, 100 pounds. That's not a big deal and stuff.
When do you need a farming number? At what point would you say someone would need a farming number?
If you're going to talk about buying 2 tons, well, in the first place, you're not going to buy it from Home Depot, I won't say Home Depot, any of these outlets like Lowe's and Home Depot and stuff. They got like agriculture co-ops, okay? But if you're going to be a farmer, you have to have a farm number.
At what capacity, though? When should a person know when they should get a farming number? At what capacity?
Even if you got a couple of raised beds in your garden, in your backyard and stuff, you can get a farm number. You can identify yourself as a farmer. Okay?
That costs money?
Huh?
That costs money for that farm
number? It doesn't cost you anything. You go down there, you say, I want...
Go down where?
I mean, to the FSA. FSA is the Farm Service Agency. We just use the FSA, Farm Service. It's a United States Department of Agriculture agency. See, when we say USDA has, I don't know, anywhere from 16 to 19 different agencies. And the one that deal with the farmers directly, essentially, FSA, Farm Service Agency. Then you got the NRCS, which is the Natural Resources Conservation Service. Mm-hmm. That's a USDA agency. So if you want to put in an irrigation system, you can go and get some assistance from NRCS, the Natural Resources Conservation Service. They can help you design that system. Okay, there's so many programs that black folks, white folks too, that you don't know about, but you need that farm number in order to qualify for these programs.
So it's not to protect you, it's just to
yes, it is
expand.
To protect you. Well, it's to protect you. And let me tell you what happened. They got a program, what is it, like EQIP, what is it? EQIP is Environmental Quality Improvement or something like that. And they just use the acronym EQIP. They trying to conserve the soil. They're trying to keep the water clean. That's what the agencies are there for you. And so if you're going to irrigate, you need a farm plan, how you going to use this land, what you going to grow on it. And they got a program that can help you financially with putting an irrigation well on your farmstead. Now, you may have to put up the money, a certain amount of money, initially, but they also have a program that they will reimburse you in some cases as high as 90%. Okay, I don't work for NRCS, but they have a program where they give you a significant amount of money back where you had to put up front in order to put this well in. But unless you got that farm number, you cannot qualify for it. And one of the problems we have with Black America, in order to put the well on your property, you got to have clear deeds to the land. In most cases, most of the land in the Black community is heirs property. Nobody has a clear deed, so you cannot qualify. In most cases, you may not qualify for many of these benefits and stuff.
So say I own my own property. I got my own stuff. So say, what if I just don't want to get a farm number? Say I just want to farm and do my own thing and kind of be off grid. Oh, is that a problem?
Oh, no, that's not a problem. You can do that. You can do that. But you're missing out on a lot of opportunities, a lot of programs that you can qualify for. You want to get that farm, as a Black person, you want to get that farm number. And not only farm number, the track number as well. When I say track number, see, I live in one...
Track you.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm sorry about that. Yeah. But anyway, I live in one part of Cairo, but my farm could be in another county. So you need a farm number and you need a track number as well, where your farm is located, where the piece of land is located.
That don't scare you?
Huh?
That don't scare you?
No, that doesn't scare me. Why should that scare me?
That like, let's play devil's advocate. Like, let's say something occurs in our country, like a war or something break out, and something happens where our power lines and go off grid. being able to identify where your farmland is at and things of that nature, where they're able to track your farm, where the government is, or even just different agencies are able to track your farm. Like say like an apocalypse happened, like they know where the farmers are at across the United States, tracking you with these farm numbers. Would you, for a person like you who want to be private, what if I want to be private with my farm?
They already know that you're not private. To be honest, you're not private with anything. I mean, you can do Google Earth and you can see my house and what's on it, how many ponds. I have at least one pond. All you got to do is out there anyway. They know where you live. They know where you are. You can put in Charles Magee right now in Grady County, Georgia, and they can Google. Well, I'm just using Google Earth. There are other technology out there too. And my house and everything will come up. They'll tell me where my shop is located, my house, my pond. They already know all of that.
So you saying because they know it, just give it to them?
Huh?
So if they know it, why do they need to track you?
I'm talking about the government right now. They got all the information on you at the present time.
Right.
It's not so much USDA doing. It's already there. I'm just saying, right now it's there. You can put in my name in Grady County, Georgia, and you can see my house and what's on my location.
Is that not creepy? Is that not scary?
Yeah, it's scary, but what I'm saying to you now, the information is already there.
Yeah.
They got drones and stuff zooming all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm telling you that it's to your advantage as a black, going off the grid and all of that. If you want to take advantage of some of these programs where you're paying taxpayer money, but you're not getting the benefit of them, let me give you a good example.
Because there are black farmers who are off the grid. Who would prefer to be off the grid, don't want to know about the farming.
That's what they want to do, but I'm just saying that shouldn't be the case. See, when you hear them talk about the farm bill, what they're going to be talking about a lot, it didn't get passed this year. Every 5 years, the United States government, they're going to pass the farm bill. That's what they call it. Okay, that bill is really not so much about farmers and stuff, but that's what they call it. In other words, they're going to give trillions over, I don't know, a couple $1 trillion, I don't know the amount, to USDA to pay for a lot of these programs that farmers have and stuff, okay? The farm bill is a nutrition bill. It's not necessarily a farm bill. It does help farmers and stuff with their program. See, when you hear the term price support, you have no idea what they're talking about.
I don't know.
Yeah. Essentially, for me to simplify, if you're a corn farmer, okay, and you grow your corn and so many bushels per acre in the private sector, let's say corn may be $10 per bushel. I'm just making up some number now. That's what you want to get to make a profit. After you put in your fertilizer, your seed, your diesel, your gasoline, your diesel and stuff like that, and then you want to get $10 per bushel in order to make a profit, to make a living, make some money. So what price support means, simplifying that, if you try to sell it on the farmer's market and you can get for $8 per bushel, the government, USDA, has programs. USDA has certain programs. If you can only get $8 on the private market, the government said we give you the other $2. All of that kind of stuff, they give you an example of what we mean by the farm bill. Now, when I say the farm bill is a nutrition bill, not necessarily simple about farmers and stuff, okay? Do you know school lunch program?
I've heard of them.
So you're a school lunch,
different school lunch
program.
Yeah, I heard about them.
After school program.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a child daycare center and they serve meals and stuff, the EBT card. You ever heard of WIC?
Yes.
Okay.
We know what WIC is.
Half of you all are WIC babies.
Oh, I am. I know you're a WIC baby.
Yeah. Not you know my age. I was not a WIC baby.
Oh, no. Yeah, they didn't have when did WIC
I don't know
come
when
out?
it came in, but I'm not a WIC baby.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, no, I'm just telling you, not but what I'm pointing out to you, the school lunch program, the school breakfast program, the WIC program, the EBT card, all of those programs are in the Farm Bill. SNAP, you know what SNAP? Do you know what SNAP is?
Yeah, isn't that like that's same thing? EBT, food stamps, all of that.
It's an acronym.
I don't know what it stands for.
It's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. They call it SNAP. So when you hear a politician say, over the next 10 years, we're going to cut $10 billion out of SNAP, they talking about cutting the school lunch program. They're talking about cutting the school breakfast program. They're talking about cutting the WIC program. They're talking about cutting the EBT program. All of those programs, they are in SNAP. All of those programs are in the Farm Bill. And you said, why should you get a farm number? So every 5 years, they pass this bill called the Farm Bill. They have these different locations in the country. They have these listening sessions where USDA official government, they go around and listen to what the farmers got to say, and folks is going to be impacted by that. They don't hold, very seldom, they're not going to have a listening session in South Tallahassee, on the south side of Tallahassee. Why you think they don't have it? Because you know what they're going to say? Because we don't have any farmers in the south side of Tallahassee. You follow what I'm saying?
Mm.
That's why that farm number is important. If all those black folks or whoever live in south side, like I was telling Daisy, or what?
Daisha.
You got it right.
Daisy.
It's Daisha.
Daisy. Okay, as I was telling her, that's why you need the farm number. They gonna say, well, why should I go to the south side of Tallahassee? We don't have any farmers over there, but if you got that farm number, you do have farmers over there. That's why you, as a black person, if you got that backyard garden, a raised bed, you ought to get a farm number. If you're going to do vertical farming, you need a farm number.
So it says here the 2024 Farm Bill is a $1.5 trillion proposal, and it extends to U.S. farmers in nearly every agriculture sector, shaping policies for what is grown and how it's grown throughout the country. It also encompasses a huge range of rural funding, farm safety net, and nutrition programs that serve as the cornerstone of the U.S. food and agriculture sector. And so getting a farm number, you'll get access to this funding?
Well, some of the programs. See, you can't go down to State Farm and get insurance on corn. You can only get crop insurance through the United States government. All of this is in there. Have you ever seen a tractor or a combine at a gas station?
Can't say that I have.
Think about it. A combine is just that big machine that harvests the wheat, the corn, the rice, and the peanuts.
Yeah, we never seen one of them pull up at the gas station.
You never seen one pull up at the gas. Why is that?
Maybe it's because it's too big.
Well, that's one reason why. But what do they run on?
Diesel?
Diesel. Because
They
that's
got diesels at gas stations.
Huh?
They got diesels at gas stations.
But have you gonna drive a combine? The point I'm making to you, farmers get operating loans from the government to buy diesel, to buy fertilizer, to buy seeds and stuff. That farmer probably got a 2,000-gallon diesel pump, a diesel tank on his farmstead. Those same diesel trucks that pull up and put diesels at the service station, well, they go to those farmsteads too. That's why you don't see them driving tractors up to and combines.
And here I was thinking it was just that because the machines was too slow on the road, and I would be one of the people that's
you don't want them on the road. And so occasionally, if you're in a rural area, you may see somebody driving down a rural highway, but certainly they're not going to be on the interstate.
Yeah.
But even in a rural area, like I live in Grady County, Georgia, I don't see a tractor driving up to the BP station to get diesel. Because they got their own diesel tanks on their farmstead.
Don't need to.
Yeah, in that farm bill, that's where the operating money comes from. They get operating loans. That's why you need to have that farm number.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Hey, welcome back, everybody, and thank you so much. Just to remind you guys, we have Dr. Charles Magee. I don't want to call him Mr., but Dr. Charles Magee. Question. So we just talked about the SNAP program. We talked about the WICS program and things of that nature. So we have some statistics or some facts behind some information about farming, and we wanted to get your thoughts on it. So in 1919, Black Americans owned 16 million acres of farm with almost 1 million Black farmers. Today, we have less than 40,000 of Black people who own less than 1% of the land. Our question for you is, why have Black farmers gone from owning 16 million acres in 1990, which is a little over 100 years ago, to now less than 1% of them own that land today, and that decline? What do you think the reasoning is behind that?
This is my personal opinion, and my family in my opinion, was a victim. Your own government put in policies that led to the decline of the Black farmers. Okay. Yes, quoting those overall statistics, and at the beginning of the decade from 1920 to 1930, you had more than 900,000 Black Americans participating in production agriculture farming. And we owned more than 15 million, close to 16 million acres of land. Now, you have to go back and look historically and what happened to Black folks in this country. A lot of bad things happened to us and stuff. Okay, so after the Civil War, 1865, okay, after the Civil War, now you had more than around 4 million former Black slaves, when the Civil War was over, okay? Now, think about it. You got 4 million folks. They could not read. They could not write. They didn't own any property, no land, no mules, no equipment, anything to farm. Farming was all the slaves knew, okay? So you got these 4 million folks. Now, the land grant system, let's touch on the land grant again. 1862, the Morrill Act was passed. Justice Smith Morrill, he the congressman that introduced it. It got passed in 1862. Abraham Lincoln signed it in July of 1862. The Morrill Act of that was the first Morrill Act. During that, a month before, or 2 months before, a month before, in May of 1862, May 15th to be exact, President Lincoln, he established the United States Department of Agriculture. Okay, USDA, what we're talking about. 5 days later, he passed another bill, and he signed it, was the Homestead Act of 1862. So you got the United States Department of Agriculture, you got the Homestead Act of 1862. Now, what does Homestead Act, what was that act about? Okay, the Homestead Act, basically what it said was, I'm just simplifying it, we want to develop farming west of the Mississippi River in the west of the United States, because the land that had been appropriated, that's the term they like to use, from the Native Americans, from the Indian, most of it was out west. Yeah, the government, United States government, okay, they took the land from the Indian, and they would want to develop the towns and all of that. Now, another bill was passed, the railroad bill, the bill of 1862, and then it became the Railroad Act of 1862. In other words, we need to develop all these lands west of the Mississippi River. We want to develop these lands. So in the Homestead Act, the gist of it was, if you were a white male, they didn't quite exactly say that, that's what it was meant for. If you were a white male, and if you agree that you're willing to go out west and start farming and stuff, we would allocate to you 160 acres of land, and if you live on this land and farm it for 5 years, after the 5th year, we're going to give you deed to the land. Now, in the Homestead Act, former slaves couldn't participate. Let's put it away. Slaves couldn't. This act was passed in 1862. Slaves couldn't participate. Chinese Americans couldn't participate. Native Americans, even though they had taken the land from Native America. Okay?
That's crazy.
They could not participate. Okay. Now, in other words, you had to fill out an application. You had to farm the land, put a house on the land, and farm it for 5 years. Okay. Now, in the first place, even if the former slaves could participate, if you can't read, how you gonna fill out an application?
Facts.
Okay. If you can't swim, how you gonna get across the Mississippi River?
Facts.
Okay. You don't have any tools, or mule or horse to cultivate the land, to farm the land in the first place. So even if you were able to get west of the Mississippi River, let's say out in Nebraska, since that was the first piece.
Say you were eligible, right? If you're eligible for
even
it.
if you were eligible,
You're ineligible for it.
you're ineligible for it. That's exactly right. If you couldn't read, you couldn't write, and you couldn't swim, so they said, all right, we're going to give you this piece of land out in Jump Off, Nebraska.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
So now today, with black people being able to do all the function, I mean, we got degrees, PhD degrees, and college degrees. Why are we in the black society today not putting more focus in farming?
Because it has a negative image attached to it.
Slavery, you think? You think when people think
because our past history is slavery, sharecropping, sharecropping, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's dirty work, hard work, long hours. But what we as black folks don't recognize, all that stuff is gone.
What do you mean
That's
it's
the
gone?
image.
What do you mean it's gone?
Nobody can farm that way anymore. You don't pick cotton by hand. You don't chop cotton. Or you don't chop anything. We use chemicals to kill weeds and stuff like that.
So it's obviously it's easier. So even though farming is easier, we're still not doing it. Why?
But we're not doing it now because you don't. As far as a row crop farming, when I say row crops, I'm talking about corn and soybean and rice and stuff like. You don't have the money to get into it, even if you wanted to. Well, look at me. I'm a retired professor in engineering from FAMU. Okay, I didn't get rich, but I could live decently just on my retirement. But I just bought 5 acres of land in Cairo because I plan to become a new and beginning farmer. Those same programs that I was telling you about that you can qualify for the government, I plan to take advantage of.
But don't the United States owe black Americans 16 acres? So do you think that...
Don't talk about, you talking about the 40 acres on a mule.
Yeah, 40 acres on a mule, or 40 acres.
Just because somebody owe you something, it doesn't mean they're going to pay it.
All right, let's just say this here. So say that they decide to give us maybe not 40 acres. Say they give us 1 acre. Do you think black people would... Say they give us 5 acres like you. Do you think that black people would start farming?
They didn't give it to me. I bought it.
Yeah, yours. Yeah, you bought yours. But say 5 acres was given to black people because Indians get paid.
Right now.
But do you think black people should be...
folks who have the knowledge and skills to make a living off 5 acres.
Right. But do you think that it would be fair to have like some type of incentive that way to black people?
You know, reparations.
Reparation, yeah. Do you think we should?
Fair and stuff like that.
Do you think if we had it, would do we do that? But
you have to face reality. It's not going to happen anytime soon and stuff. But even if I want, right here, the 5 acres that I just purchased, in Cairo, Georgia, it'll be very difficult. I want to employ some young high school students. You think they're going to come out there and work with me on those 5 acres? Because they see it's nothing glamorous about saying you're a farmer and stuff. You think so?
I know they're not coming.
Well, that's what I'm telling you. That's why we're not longer in it. So I'm not here to try to put the blame on the government and stuff. I want to take advantage of some of these programs to help me become successful. Okay, to help me become successful, because we need black folks, not only just black folks, we need Americans. And agriculture is the only thing left in this country that we the best at as a nation. We don't make cell phones. We don't even consider make the best cars anymore. I'm not going to ask you what you drive and stuff, but we don't even do that. We don't make TVs in this country. Agriculture is the only thing in the U.S. that we are still the best at. And you say, I mean, if you look at my email that you got for me, my signature quote, pull up my email and look down and see what it says. You ask me why I'm in it and why we should be in it. Find it. You just look at my quote. That should tell you a lot.
What's the quote say?
No race or nation can be completely free if all of its groceries are in someone else's pantry.
That sums it up for me. You ask me why I'm in it. Now, what I'm saying, to change the image, if I got a PhD in engineering from an Ivy League university, and I want to go out to farm, and I'm hoping they will make that 9 years of man, maybe Dr. Magee may know something I don't know. So maybe I want to consider this.
I got one last question before we end the show. Black people, we see that black people in our generation nowadays are not farming anymore. What would you say to black people to motivate them to farm? Because I'm not going to lie, you think about farming, it's hot, sun is beaming. Most of the time, most of us don't even know.
You out. You hot and beaming. Those tractors are air conditioned.
Huh?
Man.
What'd you say? You said do what?
Those tractors that they air conditioned.
What? You just said that farming is expensive, and what if you can't afford a tractor?
Well, I'm saying you giving the reason why we not getting, but I'm just telling you, I told you earlier, they're out there in the field and doing what you talking about. That doesn't exist anymore. They out there talking to the internet just like you talking to her. They got the same technology you got. Those combines that I told you, the combine is just a combination, those big machine to harvest the corn, the wheat, and soybeans. How much you think those machines cost?
At least like 100,000, right?
Man, they'll laugh in your face if you come in there and try to buy a combine for 100,000. Those machines cost 500,000 and up.
How can somebody afford
That's
that?
the point I'm making to you. So why they're no longer.
So you're saying that it's not made for us to do farming. It's not really made for black people to do farming because you don't have the money to do it.
You don't have the resources to get into
the resources.
When I said row crop farm, let's say you drive through the community in rural Monticello, Florida, some parts of Florida and Georgia. You see these long houses where they raise the chickens in.
Yeah.
They call broiler houses. Those are the chicken that we fry and stuff, okay? They're what we call them, birds, whatever. Chicken that we broiler. How much you think those houses cost a piece?
If you said 500,000 for the tractors, I'm gonna go with at least 800,000.
800 to $1 million a piece. Now, and you drive by this farmstead and you see 16 of these houses. Some bank or the government or somebody had to lend you what most times $16 million to do it. Now, you talk about, and when we talk about systemic structured racism and discrimination, very few black banks. If I go out there and say I'm gonna put in me a broiler house operation, that you know what they're gonna tell me, Dr. Magee, you don't have the experience and the knowledge to raise broilers, but I do have the knowledge and skill to teach you how to design these houses and stuff. But nobody. And the other thing is typically, whether it's Pilgrim Pride, or Cargill, the company that Tyson, the owner of these houses, they have to sign off on those lines. And that's the way it's structured. They call them contract growers and stuff. And if I went down there, they'll probably tell me I don't have the knowledge and skill, so I'm not going to co-sign. I use the term co-sign. The bank, they got to approve to sign off on it. And the whole system is structured against you in many ways.
Which is funny because that's where the Black history was formed, in farming.
That's what
we are now crippled because that was a way of sustaining life as far as, back then. But now we are dependent on grocery stores, dependent on supermarkets for our food supply.
What did my quote tell you?
What was that?
That same quote, what I'm talking about.
No race or nation can be completely free if all its groceries are in someone else's pantry.
And if we don't keep some black folks in production agriculture, trust me, all your groceries will be in someone else's pantry. And I like to say, it's your belly button pressing against your spinal cord, you agree to anything.
All right, and that's our time, everybody. And thank you all so much for tuning in. Give us your closing thoughts in the comments. Should Black people go back to farming? And can we rely on solely the seeds and our grocery stores to help end hunger? What are your thoughts behind what's going on with Black farming and just farming in general, and with our country, with our society as a whole? Tune in to the next episode, and thank you guys again for joining us. And thank you again, Dr. Magee, for joining us on our podcast show. Before we wrap, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter at I'm Just Here to Listen podcast, where we are available on all podcast streaming platforms. Thank you all again for running with us on this episode, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Talk soon. Later. I'm Just Here to Listen podcast is a production of Juming, Delmas Studios.